So the question is, how will Bitcoin scale to service a growing user base? And also I want you to address the blockchain specifically. It's getting quite large.
Yeah, that's a really good question. One of the things about Bitcoin is it was basically created by one person, or at least we think it's one person. We don't really know who he is, Satoshi Nakamoto. And he had to make a lot of choices in the very beginning. So he determined how often the transactions would be processed, how often these blocks would come out. Now they're every 10 minutes. How many Bitcoins would be created each block. He made all of these little technical decisions and variables, and they've actually stood up incredibly well over the test of time. One of those is the maximum block size, which determines what the rate of transactions can be for any given period of time. So right now, I think the maximum is about 7 transactions a second. And of course, there are transaction processing systems out there like Visa and MasterCard that do considerably more than that. The question is, how does Bitcoin scale if it starts being adopted on a much, much wider basis? And how do we have to change the ideas that Satoshi had? And I think it's just something that's important for the community to discuss. It's an open source project, and there are all kinds of different people from technical backgrounds, from philosophical, economical backgrounds, and they're just hashing that out right now. The trade-off is between having the block size so big that the average person can't store it and process it on their computer, and then it becomes a little more centralized. And on the other hand, you want to be able to process a lot of very small transactions globally. So those are exactly the kinds of issues that Bitcoin's going to face as it becomes more and more popular. And I think it's just a kind of a natural part of the growing up process of Bitcoin.
If I could interject on that question, one of the unique things about Bitcoin is the way these things are decided. There is no one person or one group deciding this, even though it can appear that way. What we have yet to see is a protocol change, like a massive protocol change, which some people would say is required to address this growing problem of this limit of 7 transactions per second. And so it's going to be also a test of how the centralized system is going to decide how that protocol will change. And it probably needs to change.
Yes. So that's a concern for Bitcoin users, but I know there's smart people thinking about it, and there's solutions that might come. But I had another question for Teresa here, and I'm sorry, I have a little bit of an intro for it. I've been reading great things about how Teresa is implementing Bitcoin into her, I want to say business, but it's a volunteer effort. They run on donations. So how will Bitcoin affect your organization, Free8?
Like Darren said, Free8 has been operating on Bitcoin. We've been operating on Bitcoin since April 15th. We made the announcement this year on purpose on tax day, so that was fun. But we actually have been accepting Bitcoin donations since late 2011, and we got several donations last year here at PorcFest, which have done very well for us, which we really appreciated. And we've had some great support from a lot of people that were encouraging us to use Bitcoin early. So I can tell you already, it's already changed our business quite a bit in a couple of ways. First of all, I believe we received a lot more donations by having accepted Bitcoin since early stages. And then the other way it's changed us so far is that we have been better able to focus on our real mission, which is, like Darren said, helping educate people about the value of mutual aid. And our main activity to do that is at events here like at PorcFest, where we support medically skilled volunteers who choose to offer first aid services. And I'm also doing a CPR workshop tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Free to anyone that wants to brush up their CPR skills and help potentially save another person from cardiac arrest. So we've been better able to focus on those things rather than following through with all kinds of state paperwork and business that was very distracting to us when we were much more embedded in the legacy banking system and all their connections to governments.
Thank you very much, Teresa. I believe